Ladies and gentlemen, Big Perry News.
Hey, kia ora koutou e te whānau. Welcome back to another edition of Big Hero News. Kia ora, Chewie.
Kia ora, Pat. His friend Chewie.
Is that? I'm just thinking about the syntax of that. It is I, friend Chewie.
Friend
Hi, man.
Chewie, friend.
Winter's here.
Winter is here. It is terrible. Hey, do you know what I had done today?
Did you get a penis extension?
No, reduction. Stop freaking children and small animals out. As someone with ADD, one of the tasks that I detest is getting quotes to have things done.
Oh yeah,
I hate it. I just want to ring someone up and go, "I want this done. How much, please?"
Yeah,
not play 4 people off against each other to see who's really got the cheapest thing. But I did. I put on my adult pants and it did an adult. And now I'm getting, because we've talked about it so much on the show, right? Getting a roof replaced. I'm getting a roof replaced because I'm getting solar panels.
Ooh.
Well, this is very exciting. These are things that I've spoken about on the show. So that's what we're doing.
And are you getting a sunny island, or are you just going to be straight to the mains?
Do you mean like a battery?
Yeah, Sunny Island is not off grid, not on grid, but it is a bank of batteries between the two, which means if the power goes out, because if your solar power goes straight to the mains, you can get money back on it, but if the mains power goes out, you can't use the solar powers. Whereas if you have something in between, not full off grid, they call it a sunny island, you can use that for a day or two, sort of thing.
If I didn't need to replace my roof, I would have probably done that. But reading up on it, everybody's sort of going, "Hey, look, you pay it back to the grid, whatever, you cut your costs down, you pay it off, and then look at doing the battery later." So that's what we're doing, because ultimately, I'd like the extra resilience eventually, just not straight away.
I have no idea what's happening with my camera.
There's Pat. He's further away now.
I did some recording today. I'll show everybody a little bit of exciting news. If I look, I'll be back at some stage. Just let me get on with my own stuff here. I'll probably be mid shot now. See there's a new series of podcasts on the DOC website right there. And there's not a podcast there yet, but there is a little promo. There's Craig's little promo, and I'm not going to play it because for some reason the music that we've paid for to be allowed to be played on YouTube is still saying you can't use this, so we're not going to monetize you. So I have to figure that in the next day or so. But that's up on Spotify podcasts and stuff now. We're getting ready to go. First episode will be out on Thursday, and that's sort of it. So tonight, lots going on. And I didn't even tell you why I started that story. I started that story. So today when I was doing recording, I didn't use this camera on purpose because I said to Craig, if I use that camera, then what will happen is my thing will play up tonight, and it's playing up anyway, even though I didn't use it. And now for some reason my other camera won't even turn on. I was going to show you what camera I was using. Is it that one? Oh, there we go. So when I was talking to Craig all day, I was using this camera, which is up there, over there. So this was my, like the Wizard of Oz. I get to be just the voice and nothing else over. So even though I did that, apparently it still didn't work. So tonight, we've got a couple of topics. I'll be really honest with you. I don't really care about the Katy Perry going to space story. I was kind of looking for a third story, and there is a couple of elements about it which I'm intrigued by, and that's the response by some peers to these famous women going, dude, people can't even buy eggs at the moment, and you guys are going up in a fucking rocket. What is wrong with you? I think that's an interesting conversation to be had. But also, and I'll do this later on, how Stuff ran their story about it was pretty hilarious, to be really honest with you. We also are going to have a look at this whole pregnant women conversation, pregnant people. Now, let me just say, this is a culture war bullshit conversation by NZ First, right? It's feeding their base. And I'll tell you something, Chewie, you might enjoy this. Even the people who are saying what New Zealand First wants to do, that only women can have babies, even they, using the binary they want to use, are still wrong. They are still wrong. So the binary that they want to use, they are still wrong. And I'll prove that tonight by showing you how I just won $100 on Twitter off someone by telling them, you know, it's not just women that can have babies. So that's been, I did that this evening and won $100 off someone who was I guess one of the priests of the alt-right. And the point being, I just want to say to these people, you are either too stupid to have thought this conversation out in its entirety, or you're a dishonest actor. Because if you ask Mr. Luxon, who said 20 times today, women have babies, if you said to him what I'm going to say on the show later on, he'd go, oh yeah, I agree with that. And what I'm going to demonstrate to you is how even in their own narrative, it's not just women that have babies. Now, we're not even going to have the narrative of trans men, that kind of stuff. We don't even need to go there. I'm going to stay in their narrative and show them how they're still wrong as a part of this conversation for tonight. And of course, this senior doctor's strike, which is pretty serious, actually, pretty big, pretty serious. Yeah, and it is what it is. Chewie, you can talk to the whānau and have a little think. And then when I come back to my seat, you can tell me which story we're starting with. I'm going to go fix my camera.
Okay. I'm going to start off with a stupid wee story today. I wasn't intending to do this so quick, so I don't have the video, so maybe we'll circle back to that later. There was an interview with Trump in the White House today. Ukraine has wanted to buy a set of defensive Patriot missile batteries worth about $15 billion from the US. And Trump was asked for comment on that, and he says, oh, they can ask, they're always after missiles, you know, but you can't start a war with someone 20 times your size and then just hope people give you missiles. So many things wrong with that. Obviously, Ukraine didn't start the war. Zelensky wasn't president when the war started. And the fact that they're offering to buy them, not to be given them. So when he sensed that he was getting led down the garden path with that line of questioning, he pivoted into talking about his recently released medical. Have you seen this, Pat?
I'm not sure.
Trump
so.
medical.
Oh, so, yes.
So every year the president goes to get it.
No details.
Yeah. And on it, some really weird stuff. Like it mentioned that he was healthy based on the fact that he wins golf tournaments
at his own courses.
Yeah. It also mentions his height and weight, which is interesting because it lists him
6'3" and like 220, and 220 is 100 kilos. So 220 is your average 6 foot guy would be close to 100 kilos, 80 to 100 kilos. So it lists him as 6'3" and 100 kilos.
So I'm 5'11" and 110 kilos. Okay, so a little bit shorter, a little bit heavier than Trump wants us to believe. But because it's in American measurements, I thought, you know, it's pretty hard to visualize that. So your window there. There we go. So there's a comparison. Do we believe it?
Yeah.
Do we believe that Trump's doctor is telling us the truth?
I mean, you could
like, how blatant
go,
can that be? He's done this before as well. When he was president last time, we got some foolish things. I remember at that time they put up an image that was comparing him and Obama, with Obama with his shirt off playing basketball, and a picture of Trump playing tennis or something. And it's horrific. Like, I love that this guy is that fucking vain that he can go, yeah, I'm like this guy.
So let me grab the screen back off. So, like, because obviously that guy there is muscle bound and yada yada yada. Here is your average 6'3", 220 man. There you go. Mm-hmm. So there's your average 6'3", 220 guy, without all the myriad of muscles.
It's just the same.
Yeah, just like Trump. I watched a little bit of Jon Stewart today, and he said you have a front bottom. So, and then he was like, no shade, we all get there. But if that, I don't know who this is, I just looked up that thing. If that there is your average man, not your uber athlete at 6'3", 220, then that ain't you, Trumpy boy. That ain't you. But I think we knew that, didn't we?
There's a bunch of Trump stuff that came out today. I don't know if you saw the Hot Mic episode where he's talking to the president of El Salvador, who was apparently there to tell them that there was no possible way that they could release the American that has been sent to El Salvador by mistake. It just can't be done. Sorry, he has to stay in prison. But when the cameras were off, there's a conversation that was caught on a mic where Trump was going, well, next up it'll be the homegrowns that we send you. You're going to need to build 5 more of these prisons. That's worrying.
Yeah, and the point was made today as well, again, by Jon Stewart, that they were saying they wouldn't know how they could get him back from El Salvador to the US, and then pointed out that the president of El Salvador just flew from El Salvador to the US. He could have given him a lift. He could have, a literal plane from the literal place to America in it.
Oh, we found him
back. Yeah. All right. Okay, let us, before we get going, say Jeremy Cook has got a late fee. Kia ora, guys. I'm still looking for my $100 to come through. The person who lost me $100, who I bet $100 on Twitter, said they were paying it. Still waiting. So let's just get onto that now. See if it's paid before the end of the show. So this is the conversation from One News, this culture war bullshit. Remember, my premise is this. I don't even need to have a conversation with them about perhaps what they would deem the left narrative to be, because they disagree with their own right narrative. And I'll demonstrate that to you as we go through, and I'll show you how I won $100 off Twitter tonight. Saying to someone on the right, I bet you I can show you how it's not just women who have babies. Remember, again, don't get upset or offended with me if you don't like the kind of language I'm going to use, but I'm talking in their narrative and showing them how they don't even believe their own narrative.
The Prime Minister is defending a directive to Health New Zealand to use the words pregnant women instead of pregnant people, a term used more recently to include transgender and non-binary parents. In a letter, Women's Health Minister Casey Costello said she wanted clear language that was sex-specific. But members of the rainbow community say it's just the latest example of a divisive government. Political editor Mikey Sherman reports.
Mikey.
When it comes to a pregnant belly, it's usually easy to tell who's expecting, but what their pronouns are may not always be as clear. So Health NZ adopted a gender-neutral term, pregnant people, a term now being shelved following a directive from the minister.
And I think this is the point that I wanted to make, right? The reason that this is a culture war bullshit conversation, like this is the most important thing to sort out in our health system at the minute. The reason it's a culture war bullshit conversation is when I show you how they don't even agree with their own position, then you go, well, that means you're doing it just for clicks. You're doing it just to give red meat to your base. You don't even believe what you're saying. Or if you don't realize what you're saying, then you haven't thought this through enough to make a statement at all.
Minister responsible for women's health, and therefore I think it's perfectly acceptable for me to be able to talk about women's health.
Last month, she sent a letter to Health NZ outlining the change.
This isn't about a exclusion.
Last month, conversation around Dunedin Hospital, You know, thinking about where all the funding is coming from Nelson Hospital, all these big, massive issues going on. And this person's worried about the words pregnant people over pregnant women. That's how we know this is culture war bullshit. This is red meat to the base of transphobes that are voting for New Zealand First. I'm not saying everyone who votes for New Zealand First is transphobes, but the transphobes who are around, they certainly gravitate towards that group more so than any other, in my opinion.
Anyone. This is about being clear about our messaging, and I didn't, the letter is very clear.
I totally support that. What's been happening, and it's happening globally, is that they've been de-sexing the language in the name of inclusivity, but what they've done is excluded the vast majority of women who are affected by women's health issues.
Now, that's the question, Chewie. I heard you say it. So how have women been excluded? Now, excluded would imply they are not getting the service that they should be getting. What woman has not had the service that is entitled to her? What woman has been excluded from the health system, especially if we're talking about having babies? Show me one woman that is, quote, been excluded, end quote, because this story is about pregnant people and pregnant women, from any kind of care to do with pregnant women. Again, this is how you know it is a culture war bullshit story, Chewie. Because there's not a single woman in New Zealand who has been excluded from pre or postnatal care around their pregnancy.
First time I heard this morning, just seeing the headline and that sort of thing, I was like, are they trying to say that pregnant people aren't people? Like, honestly, that was my first thought. Like, it's an exclusive term. Like, you literally catch everybody with that. And they've tried to bury it in the fact of like, oh, we're concerned if people don't English isn't their first language, they don't understand what's going on. What? Apparently the saying people with a cervix was confusing, but that's not what this headline is. No. This headline is specifically talking about the term pregnant people. Now, if you were I hate this term, biological woman, and they say you're a pregnant woman, that's correct. If they say you're a pregnant person, also correct. And it's just when we get caught in this, it just becomes mean. Like, you're just going, oh well, if it's gonna piss off or make a tiny minority of pregnant people, make them feel bad, we don't care. That's all that they're achieving here. It's not a win for anybody but a small group of people that want to punch down on someone who's different. And that can get fucked.
The conversation has moved so quickly in this area because, in the 60s, we talked about that was liberating to have gender being, societal, put on you by society. And we went through that, and it's it's constructed for you. We went through that, and we came into the first part of this century talking about, your gender is self-identifiable, but we've all heard the conversations that gender is software, sex is hardware, in other words, female. And then that's flowed a bit more into, probably thanks to the last government, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, about self-identifying sex as well. There are some real, very genuine areas, and I can give you an example. I had a conversation with a chemist the other day. The male and female urethra, the anatomy, if it has an infection, they get given a different drug. And I had a conversation with someone who said that they offended someone by asking what they were born as, but the reason they asked it was they had to actually provide for them the correct medicine for their biology. And that's with me when I kind of go, wouldn't this all just be sold with male, female? Like, gender is not the same as sex. It can be completely separate to it. It can be whatever you want, male and female. It's all solvable. like just in that way. But then again, I'm not part of the community. Some people in the community are happy with male, female. Some people want to self-identify as male, female, and that's the ongoing conversation. So someone's pointed out about the protest that we're going right now. Look at all the grey hair. It's true. Let's get to the end of this, because we also remember this bit's mostly going to be about how the people who say there are only two genders are wrong, even using their own narrative. We don't have to argue against them saying this is our narrative. Using their narrative, they're still wrong, and they admit that they're wrong when it gets explained to them.
Gender issues has seen plenty of protest in recent years. But members of the rainbow community say the latest directive is an attack.
Certain politicians have a history of bad behaviour towards people of the transgender community, non-binary people.
I think it just speaks to the division that this government is just continuing to roll out.
Most New Zealanders would actually say pregnant people are women, and that's quite acceptable to say so.
Until I explain how you're wrong, Mr. Prime Minister, very shortly.
Health NZ in 2023 released a report on maternity care standards, referring to pregnant people throughout, acknowledging not all people who become pregnant identify as women or female, adding health professionals involved in the care of pregnant people should ensure they know the pronouns.
It actually angers the majority of women to be referred to as pregnant people.
Research,
does
please.
it?
Yeah,
Proof.
research, please.
Citation needed.
Yeah, citation
what
needed.
The fuck?
Research,
who is this
please.
person speaking for all women?
Yeah. And look, that statement may be correct, but it's also measurable, and you need to provide the data to back up your extremely large quote you've just given there, that the majority of women are upset by this.
The majority of women I have spoke to are angered by this. Fine. Couldn't debate that statement.
Yeah.
All women everywhere.
Yeah.
You can't prove. It's a stupid thing to say.
Yep, indeed.
As pregnant people.
The minister says she's received documents with similar wording.
What's confusing about the term pregnant people?
Good question. What is confusing it?
Excellent.
Are you a person? Are you a people? And are you pregnant? Ah, okay.
Well, the fact is it's women. It's women that get pregnant.
I think that she's ignorant, because not only women can get pregnant, people who identify as being men can also be pregnant.
They say it's less about policy than it is politics.
It just shows that she isn't with the times.
My view is that there is room for all of us in this diverse community to which we all belong.
What's important is just to have clear language, and I think common sense language.
Language causing continued debate, creating plenty of labour pains in the process. Mikey Sherman, One News.
Mikey got a pun in there. Plenty of labour pains. Good on you, Mikey. I like that one.
Can we?
I've actually got that
focus
stand
on
up.
the important bit there. That Luxon, the king of clear language, that's what he's sticking his flag in there.
I've got Luxon at the stand up. We are going to watch some of that. But here, let me just do this. Now, remember, I am swimming in the pool that is the people who say there are only two genders, right? And I'm going to talk to those people in their own language. I made a bet on Twitter tonight, and my bet was, anyone take a bet? $100. I bet you that I can show you that it's not only women who can get pregnant. Any takers? And Chewie, there was a surprisingly small response. It's funny that when you put up a clip about this or a clip about Benjamin Doyle or whatever, you get thousands of responses, but you put a direct challenge out there and the responses aren't quite as forthcoming. Anyway, we had a certain individual that some people may know and remember. I don't know who this person is, but they've got a profile online called Captain Jack Harris is his name. He's one of the chiefs, one of the priests of the alt-right. And of course, he went through a bunch of things to make sure I wasn't trying to play some trick. You can show us pregnant women hyped up on man juice injections, but she's still a woman. So I asked, are you taking the wager? Sure, fire away. Here are the rules. Can't be a hormone-juiced woman. Has to be a human. The baby has to be born of the mother. And I'm like, yep, I agree to all of that. So there's the wager. I can prove to you that one doesn't have to be a woman to have a baby. You're taking the bet, then wanted more caveats. To birth a baby, not to have, let's go with that. Sure. Okay. Now remember, I'm playing in their pool, right? Man, woman, two genders. Only women can have babies. The question is, what do you call a 15-year-old female? The answer came back, an adolescent female. Sure. So not a woman then. Can that 15-year-old have a baby? You can pay the $100 to the Super Chat tonight after 9 p.m. I'm assuming that you're a man of your word. Thanks for playing. Now, I don't need to get into a conversation or a debate over what is a woman or only two genders or whatever. These are your rules. You say there's only two genders, but in your world, there's boys and girls as well. So there's not only two genders. In your world, there's at least four. And then there's intersex as well, which you all acknowledge is a small percentage. So that's got us to 5. So I just think that people who spout out these things, there are only two genders, are either dishonest actors or they haven't spent 5 minutes to actually get their own argument together. Because as I've just shown you, Chewie, even in that world, there are more than two genders. So Captain, whatever his name was, said he was going to pay the $100. Said he was going to pay it as the show started. So I don't know if he's watching or not, but we all look forward to that $100 coming through on a super chat, because as I said, as the challenge, I will prove to you, and I used their words, that you don't just have to be a woman to have a baby. Now, another whole conversation about what we think necessarily and what the community watching here might say who can have a baby. But in their world, there's at least 5 genders. And in their world, there's at least 2 of those genders that can have a baby, Chewie. I was being pedantic, Pat, but I wanted to make a point to show them you haven't even thought about this from your own perspective. Sir.
Here's the point that I want to make. Yes, we can go down the path of, you know, what is it? What is a chair? You know, you can get caught up in the semantics of dissecting a person down to what reproductive parts they have, which is offensive in itself. I want to focus on the fact that this is the Women's Health Minister instructing the health department to just basically ignore a segment of people looking for healthcare.
Yeah. Stop.
Like just from a human respect point of view. Can you imagine that? Like going through as something as potentially traumatic as giving birth to a child, and you have to deal with the entire machinery of our health department potentially saying, fuck your feelings, we're going to tell you what you are.
I mean, would anyone have a problem if it said women and pregnant people? Like, there are some women who don't want to see that term. Okay. Whether I agree with you or not, okay. And there are some people in the trans non-binary community who also don't want to see the term woman. Is it such a bad thing to go women and pregnant people? I mean, I think pregnant people can cover everybody, because like we said, if you're a woman and you're pregnant, you are a person who is pregnant. But I mean, like, I guess what I'm trying to do, Chewie, is just find a solution here that doesn't shit on a vulnerable community and doesn't let a bunch of bigots set the tone for how that community is going to be spoken to. Would we be happy with that? Women and pregnant people? Or is that going too far into placating those people who want to shit on a vulnerable community?
Yeah, it's like we said at the top of the show. It's a bullshit culture wars beneath us discussion. And the fact that it's come out now, the week after the same party went after a non-binary person and basically accused them with no evidence of being a pedophile. The trend is worrying. And now New Zealand First, I mean, they have been the entire time, but they are the party of the conspiracy, the cooker, the fringe nutters on our society. And because of what Christopher Luxon, I don't see a problem with this. should be his fucking title, is we have to deal with this on the national stage. Like, and it's
you might say on the national front. You could say that on the national front. You could.
And it's another example of a minority party being the associate minister for something. The tiny amount of people that voted for them to put into that position doing just this culture war shit and just shit stirring, making changes that don't need to be made because they want to score ideological points at the expense of someone's humanity. It's fucking stupid.
Let's go to the stand-up. If you were frustrated with Luxon now, you wait till you hear this piece of brilliant CEO talk that comes out. He says something like, "I hire big people," or something like that. It's very bizarre. Now, the other thing is we are going to move slightly into this conversation because in the middle of this stand-up, in this, we've got about 3.5 minutes to play. All of a sudden, Luxon gets asked about gang numbers going up. And guess what he does? You remember that Monty Python? He bravely ran away. Da, 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 da. So you watch when the gang numbers going up question comes out, how bravely he runs away and gives it to Mark Mitchell. So this is talking about the pregnant people question to start off with and talking about Costello. And I think it's an interesting question. Did Costello actually bounce this around the cabinet table before she made the declaration? Which I actually kind of think would be the norm. But yeah, no, because I hire the best people with the best brains.
Just on your relationship with New Zealand First, just going back to the director of the Minister Costello, did she or anyone from New Zealand First run that past you with your cabinet first?
No, but we're all very aligned on that position. And the way that we work as a former CEO is you have big people doing big jobs and big portfolios. And
big jobs! Big business jobs!
Jumbo jobbies. Big people. Big jobbies.
Trousers.
Doing big jobs out of their big pants.
And you entrust them and you empower them. You're very clear about what you expect them to deliver, but you let them get on with the job. And we don't want to do endless meeting culture. We want our ministers out and about doing things and getting things done. These two gentlemen, frankly, are good exampms of what they're doing to restore law and order. When you see gang legislation in place, when you see serious consequences for serious young criminals, and when you see the removal of sentencing discounts and the resultant feeling that New Zealanders are feeling
it's hilarious
in their streets, in their communities, in their homes, that's a good thing.
On that, aren't gang numbers going up and police
numbers going up?
Slowly going up. You're not going to be
watch it.
I'll let Mark talk to that.
Yeah. Fucking I'm out.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that the best runaway ever? Speaking to that, seeing you've just kind of put out there all this information that you think is Labour bad. What about the gang numbers? That doesn't look too shit hot at the moment. Can you speak to that, Mr. Prime Minister? He bravely ran away.
No, but we're all very aligned on that position. And the way that we work as a former CEO
runs
is
away.
you have big people doing big jobs and big portfolios, and you entrust them and you empower them. You're very clear about what you expect them to deliver.
What would you know about it? You don't have a portfolio.
We don't want to do endless meeting culture. We want our ministers out and about doing things and getting things done.
Good boys.
These two gentlemen, frankly, are good examples of what they're doing to restore law and order. When you see gang legislation in place, when you see serious consequences for serious young criminals, and when you
hang on, I've just gone back too far. We just got to watch him run away one more time, and then I'll pause it before Mark comes on.
The removal of sentencing discounts and the resultant factor feeling that New Zealanders are feeling safer in their streets, in their communities, in their homes, that's a good thing.
Yeah, are we?
On that, aren't gang numbers going up and police numbers are slowly going up? You're not going to meet the target for 2025.
I'll let Mark talk to that.
Yeah. So you.
Okay, sorry, Chewie. You want to say something very important before we listen to Mark Mitchell.
So I mentioned that Luxon doesn't have a portfolio.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes prime ministers do. They hold something that they think is really important to them. Sometimes they don't. But he specifically said he didn't want a portfolio because he wanted to manage the team.
Be across everything.
Right. And then what he means by manage the team is my ministers don't need to run shit past me. I trust them to do their jobs. So can someone please tell me, what the fuck does he do? What is his job?
He tests the Koru lounges at every airport in the world. That's what he's doing. He's like quality assurance for the Koru lounge everywhere in the world. That's where he spends most of his time.
As we see here, he's not across this stuff enough to answer a simple question like that. He has to pass, like, what do they call it in sport? A hospital pass.
Hospital pass.
I'm going to pass you the ball.
Well
you're
done.
going to hospital.
Well done, Chewie.
Passes it to Mark Mitchell. The moment Mark Mitchell comes out, please tell me a reporter does that. They go, aren't you supposed to resign?
Well,
crime has gone up. Police numbers haven't gone up. And you're still fucking here. What is going on?
He is far more, is it contrite? Is that the right word? Than he used to be. He's a bit calmer and less bravado than he used to be. Let's have a bit of a listen.
Yes, gang numbers continue to go up, of course.
Oh, and guess what, Chewie? They have a reason why they're going up. Under Labor, no reason. But under these guys, they have a reason why they go up. And you know what it comes down to? They're counting differently. Remember we talked about that before the election?
Oh, we did talk about that.
But these guys have reason. Last guys, no reason.
Of course, we put two gangs. I put two gangs at the end of last year onto the register that weren't there before. We're making progress on police numbers, but I think that
there's another very funny thing that happens here. Mark Mitchell forgets the word rate, and Christopher Luxon has to whisper it to him to get through the sentence. I shit you not. Christopher Luxon is standing off to the left there. He has to give Mark Mitchell the word he's looking for because the police minister couldn't think about the rates of crime going up or down.
Oh.
Have a look.
What I'd like to do is just firstly acknowledge the fact that, as Paul highlighted, that we are making progress against our targets, and we are a government that came in and set ourselves targets.
Which you haven't hit. You're going to say that bit as well. You set targets that you have not hit.
And are holding ourselves to account.
No, you're not, because you're still there, like Chewie said.
But I do want to acknowledge not only the justice sector agencies, including my own police and corrections, who have done an outstanding job. I want to acknowledge local government. I want to acknowledge...
they're very nice here, Chewie, to people like Māori wardens. You know how they're going to fall short of what
interesting.
How they're going to fall short of the number, and yet people like Tamitha Paul has been saying we could be putting more money into places like Māori wardens, and these guys have been police. Well, all of a sudden, for some weirdly known reason, Mark Mitchell is going to be quite complimentary of Māori wardens. Weird.
CPNZ, our community patrollers, our Maori wardens, our community groups, our ethnic communities, who have all got a stake in this and have all come together and working hard to make our country a safer country. And although the early results, they're trending in the right direction, we remain motivated to make sure that we keep those numbers trending in the right direction.
What is the gangs? Why do you think gang numbers are going up?
I think that the gangs are still very active. The gangs are still actively recruiting. They're not going. The speed at which they're going, the rate of going up has.
There it was. Did you get it? Did you get it?
Right. Yeah.
Mark Mitchell is searching for the word from the 9th floor PR team. He can't find the word rate. Listen to Luxon in the corner, and then guess what happens? Daddy takes over. Okay, son, you haven't quite got the talking points down. I'll take over.
The gangs are still very active. The gangs are still actively recruiting.
Wait for it.
They're not going. The speed at which they're going, the rate of going up has definitely slowed down. It's recognition of the fact we got more work to do, and we know we have.
Here comes Dad.
We inherited a shambles.
Dad's going to take over.
It took 6 years to bake in. I think we've done a pretty good job over the first 16 months to start to deal with that. And you've got a government that, led by our Prime Minister and a coalition that has said we're prioritising victims and public safety, and that's exactly what we're doing.
I think there's some really good things happening. I mean, if you think about it, you know, we're seeing with the gang patch legislation and the tools that we've given police, that's also unearthing illegal guns and illegal drugs. This morning I've just come from Customs, and I've been seeing some of the work that they've been...
Customs that you cut funding for? Those guys.
Can you explain, Mr. Luxon, how the gang patch law has assisted customs in finding more contraband.
The customs that you cut money to, and now we've got an influx of meth like we've never seen. That customs, you were there this morning. Okay, let's have a look.
Being illegal guns and illegal drugs. This morning I've just come from customs, and I've been seeing some of the work that they've been doing on certainly fighting transnational crime, particularly drugs in particular. And there's some good progress.
As the meth level rate, Mark, the rate of use of meth goes on a spike like has been seen nowhere in the world. So we got told by the experts, nowhere in the world.
You can spin this. You can go, customs has been intercepting more meth than ever before.
More's got through.
Well, has it meant that meth use has gone down in the country? Well, no, that's gone up as well. The reason that customs are intercepting more meth is because there's actually more meth. Yeah. So fuck. Look, these guys, I said this right from the get-go. The reason that these guys will fail on gangs is because they don't understand how they work.
Yeah.
They don't understand what the appeal is. They don't understand why their version of society is not attracting these people. Because they've set them up to be outside of society. So if you're an individual on the outside of society, you're constantly getting fucked with the cops. You don't have any job. You have no prospects. Then you turn to an organization which, like you, is outside of society. That just makes sense. If you're going to go to jail, you're going to be put in contact with people that are more ahead in that lifestyle than you. This is why they refer to prisons as universities for crime. It puts people in contact with the gangs if they hadn't been in contact before. This is the thing that they miss when Tamitha Paul is talking about, well, maybe there's alternatives to how we do policing. Maybe there's alternatives to how we do incarceration. I'm not saying get rid of all prisons. I'm saying use them sparingly. They're expensive and they don't work for what these guys want them to work for, a reduction in crime. They just don't. I don't think anyone, I mean, you can never say anyone. I always, when we hear about people saying, there'll be that crazy blue-haired view coming from the left, or there'll be that crazy Nazi view coming from the right. It's like, well, of course, you can always find someone to make some kind of crazy comment. But I look to people with kind of influence or power. They're the people who aren't saying those kinds of things. Abolishing all prisons. I mean, I could prove me wrong, but a person in power or influence who is literally saying abolish all prisons, I doubt that's out there. There might be lots from the Greens in particular talking about we should do this better, like you're saying, but I don't I mean, even Tamitha said last week on the news when they said, should we get rid of all police? She said, no, the police do some things really importantly. And she talked about violent crime, I think, and maybe sexual assault. She mentioned a couple of things that they did really well. Here's the thing, Pat. When Mark Mitchell is questioned about the extra police numbers that he was talking about, that he was going to resign if he didn't get there, he then changed his tone and said, oh, that's an aspirational target. Yeah. Right? And that's fine, an aspirational target. Whereas somebody goes, hey, abolishing prisons, defunding the police, and people go, well, come on, that's not really realistic, is it? And then they go, well, it's an aspirational goal. Yeah. Then you go, that's fucking ridiculous. Boo, hiss, boo that man, throw things at them. All of this, so they can't imagine a society without prisons. There's been heaps of societies without prisons. Like, they don't work. We've had prisons forever. If that was a disincentive to crime, we wouldn't have crime. They would have solved it. In Victorian times, we had some of the worst prisons in the world. Well, but even so, look at today. If that was the answer, then America would be the safest country in the world. I mean, just by de facto, if that was the answer. Straight up, execute people. With countries with the death penalty, you would expect that crime had stopped. Yeah, because nobody wants to get killed, but it keeps happening. So therefore, minimize when people are going into prison. Like, prison should be reserved for the most violent, most heinous, most recidivist criminals we've got. Everything else is like, if you put someone away in prison for 5, 6, 7, 10 years, their life's fucking over. You don't come back out and start picking out the pieces. You were pretty much setting a clock to go, well, I'm going to go back into prison at some point. It's a drain on taxpayers' money. It doesn't fix life for that person. It puts that person on a collision course with further victims. These guys don't see it because that's not the problem that they're trying to solve. They're trying to solve the problem. I want to be the government, and being tough on crime fucking gets me that goal.
Yeah. All right. Let's just play the last 60 seconds of this, then we'll get out of here. Like Christopher Luxon, he's out of here.
It's happening in that space. There's a lot more to do, exactly as Mark said, but I just step you back. I think the way Mark coordinated a lot of the community and central CBD, across the whole of the country now, there's been a 40% increase of police out on foot patrols. There's been a 60% reduction in ram raids. I remember a period of
what increase has been in meth use, though, and meth crimes. Come on, you got to do the whole thing.
Time for a good year where you find people and us would be standing in front of a superette or a dairy that have been ram raided overnight, and that doesn't happen.
What the fuck is a superette?
So that's down 60%. So we are seeing crime stabilise, starting to trend down as we started to talk about the violent crime today, total crime as in general.
Well, yeah, but we're going to say this again. There's no stat kept by the police that talks about violent crime. So where are your numbers coming? Like, just so people know, the police don't keep a record that is quote unquote violent crime. So when this government talks about violent crime, you always got to ask, where are those numbers coming from? And unfortunately, in this stand up, no journalist asked that question.
We've got more work to do. Yes, we're very committed to recruiting more police officers. It's been outstanding to see the number of
committed to, but failing. One a month for the first 14 months. One a month. One.
Police are staying in the police force, so the attrition rates have come down, which has been really fantastic. So they're staying, which is really great. Importantly, because they know they've got a government that's backing them. Importantly, we're seeing huge interest in recruitment.
Government that is literally defunding the police. There's one lot of people in New Zealand at the moment defunding the police, and it's the national government.
You're seeing some of our recruitment wings go from 70 to 100 recruits, and we're opening up, as you know, an Auckland training centre here, so that we don't have there's no disincentive to get in the way of a 20-week training program for new police officers. So, we are doing everything we can in 16 months from day one to put the foot on the accelerator and say enough is enough. We are restoring law and order in this country. We are ensuring there are rights and responsibilities, and that has been a lot of work on gangs, driving violent crime, serious young offenders, and also sentencing discounts.
Is this where we ask questions about the serious young offenders that went to that boot camp, that one died, and like the majority of all reoffended and some are back in the system? Is that how we're doing it? But anyway,
it's
Chewie,
funny how we don't talk about that boot camp anymore. I want to talk about this new police training facility that they're talking about, that's going to boost numbers, that is going to remove a disincentive to people. If someone can't handle being away from home to train to a police officer, is that really the driven individual that you want to be in the police? They can't stand to be away from home for 20 weeks. Like, people go to university to study. They go from one end of the country to the other and be away for an entire year, and they can seem to manage it. But these potential police recruits that they want to get can't stand to be away from home for 20 weeks to train to be a police officer. That seems ridiculous. Like, I don't see how that's going to get them suddenly 500 cops in the next 6 months. That's just not going to happen.
No, not going to happen. Are you done? Sorry. Hi. It's just a short observation there, that they keep on hammering this Auckland facility like it's the cure to everything. We've had the Wellington Police College for decades, and that's been enough to feed the police. Do you want to get to those super chats?
Yeah, sure, because there's a whole lot. I'm not late. You are, for Baba. Gary brings up the point, are pronouns of pregnant people hurting tobacco sales? I think he's cracked it there. Kiwi Burb, pregnancy is not exclusive to women. Women's Rights Party, because the TERF Bigots Party was a bit on the nose. Kiwi Bib again, female here. The right wing are a bigger threat to accessible reproductive healthcare than the rainbow community. Facts over feelings. 100%. I think this is another smoke bomb to the fact that the funding for reproductive health out the window. Education for kids around gender identity, sexuality, reproduction, all of that sort of thing. Those programs are being dramatically changed.
Yeah.
Casey, big people Costello confirmed.
Big people doing big jobs and big people.
Jobs.
Big jobs from big people. Big business jobs.
Maggie says, as a woman who struggled with infertility, I love the term pregnant people. Strangers assume I should have been having a baby because I am a woman and I felt entitled to know the reason why I wasn't. Another side issue that is completely stands apart from the trans issue. So I think that's important to notice. James here says, big egghead hires big people for big jobs. Poo emoji. New Zealand to Luxon. So what is it that you actually do here? Alice says, human respect. Exactly. It doesn't matter what people wish to call themselves. I birthed 2 babies over 50 years ago, and I'm happy to share my world with anyone who wishes to be whoever they wish. Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
I would sub Alice in here to replace Casey Costello in a heartbeat. That's what it should be. Where do we got? What the fuck has Costello been smoking? She's cooked. It's a heated tobacco product. So already we're seeing the effects of that. I thought it wasn't about the friggin' targets.
It's not about the targets.
It's not about the friggin' targets, but sometimes
targets.
it is about the targets. Just don't ask me about the targets because then they're friggin' targets. And on the conversation about prisons, should we, shouldn't we? An excellent suggestion here. We should have a chat to the people against prisons, Aotearoa, to talk about prison abolition. I would like to know more about what they envision, because yeah, as I said, I can't imagine a country without prisons. But I would hope that they would be minimized as much as fucking possible. But we should line this up, Pat. We should reach out.
Yeah, totally. Maybe that'd be good for the next, what's it called? Leftist Collective, a couple of weekends away. Maybe.
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, maybe.
Cool.
Maybe.
We'll work on it.
All right. Let's look at the most important story of the day. Ugh.
Katy Perry heads to space in a dick-shaped rocket.
I know. I wonder
even
if the
more
people
dick-shaped than a normal
I wonder
rocket.
if the people who made the graphic for this were having a little giggle, because it does just, the jokes write themselves. Let's have a look at this. I don't really care about the story. There's a couple of interesting angles though I want to talk to you about, but the story in general is like, ugh.
It's so bulbous.
Is that? No,
we should blur that out.
Okay, well, let's get rid of it now.
Every footage of Bezos's rocket should just be pixelated.
Pop star Katy Perry and 5 other women have returned to Earth after being blasted into space on a rocket owned by billionaire Jeff Bezos. A raft of other celebrities watched the group's 11-minute trip to the edge of space. Here's Ellie Pugh.
One of the biggest pop stars of planet Earth, getting ready for liftoff.
Good luck and Godspeed, ladies. Liftoff.
It does look like Blue Organ up the side rather than Blue Origin. It just does. I'm sorry.
You can't see it in that
On
shot.
board
It's
one
got
of billionaire Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin rockets.
Welcome to space, ladies, or shall I say, astronauts.
The group, including presenter Gayle King and Jeff Bezos's...
forget all the bullshit. That would be legitimately kind of wicked. Just that, but the 4 minutes of floating. But
sorry, how much?
4 minutes.
4 minutes.
11-minute trip, bro.
Oh, fuck off! Really?
Did not know that. 11-minute trip. 4 minutes of 0G. Were you thinking like they're up there for an hour? All right, I'm going to keep going while you laugh.
fiancée Lauren Sanchez, the first all-female spaceflight crew in 6 decades.
It does look like she's left that fucking window open, though, just between me and you. Like with that bit there, it does look like he's gone, wow, this is really nice. I'd be aware of that.
Soaring 100 kilometres above the planet, crossing the boundary into the edge of space.
Oh, the moon! You guys, I will have to tell you, look at the moon.
Plenty of stars below watching on, including Oprah Winfrey and a couple of Kardashians too. After 11 minutes, the capsule touching down in the West Texas desert.
And welcome back.
All right, that's all I care to watch about that. Now, a couple of conversations. The first one is a bunch of people. I think Olivia Munn was a part of it, and other people kind of going, this is Olivia Munn, who I know from bloody The Daily Show back 14 years ago, and then she went on to star in that Aaron Sorkin one, Newsroom.
Yeah, the Newsroom, which I fucking love.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Olivia Munn said, I know this is probably obnoxious, but like it's so much money to go into space, and there's a lot of people who can't even afford eggs. Space exploration was to further our knowledge and to help mankind. What are they going to do up there that has made it better for us down here? And there was other people who, Emily Ratajkowski, the model, said it was disgusted by the trip in a social media post, like this is beyond parody. So that's a part of the conversation, Chewie. I've got one more thing I want to share, which is how Stuff covered it. But any thoughts?
So many thoughts. This is beyond parody is great. This is the dumbest thing. It's demeaning for everything. It's demeaning for spaceflight. It's demeaning for women as a whole. Like as gender, like fucking hell. To call them a crew, like I would imagine that there wasn't a person in that capsule that was controlling a goddamn thing.
No, of course.
If they were up there for 11 whole minutes, not even in orbit. It's not even an orbitable altitude. Like, to call it, I guess, tenuously it's space flight. Maybe it's even not that. It's just like
edge of space flight.
We set this group of women uppies. We spend a whole lot of money to spend uppies. It's demeaning for women astronauts that went before them. Some of them died.
Yeah.
In the Challenger accident, the Russian space program. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah. All of this, and just to finish off your incredulous nature, would have been also topped off by what Stuff did today. I'll show you. I put it on Twitter, so I'll bring it up and I'll read it out to you for people in the audio chat. This is an actual headline on Stuff NZ right now. Jeff Bezos falls over. So the news about an all-female team, including Katy Perry, is usurped by a billionaire falling over as he walks around the capsule they are in. That is the story. Jeff Bezos falls over as he runs towards space capsule. That was a headline on stuff.co.nz. Billionaire falls over on the day we're supposed to celebrate, this momentous occasion for all womankind who made it to the edge of space in their giant penis. Jeff Bezos falls over. So I guess the only good thing about that is it's a nothing story, and maybe Stuff got it right. They paid it nothing attention by calling him by actually the billionaire guy falling over being bigger news than the woman inside the capsule he fell over outside of. There you go.
That's the dumbest thing I have ever seen. Like, it's offensive by how dumb it is. This has got me Googling how to order a guillotine online. Like this is a man.
Do you want to see him fall over?
Oh, I do want to see him fall over, Pat.
It's still there. Chat, do we want to see him fall over? It's a headline story.
Is it going to do the
Stuff
stuff thing where it plays a fucking obnoxious ad to give you like 15 seconds of footage?
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, that's the thing. The only thing that would make that better is Jeff Bezos falls over next to capsule rolls and crushes him. Like there's not enough fatalities in this story. That is my takeaway on this.
This is hilarious. Everyone wants to see Jeff Bezos. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that was the lead Maybe there's too many. It's going too fast. There's too many people saying it. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Christ.
Oh, there we go. Nah, I'm good. All right. Ask and you shall receive, my baby birds.
One of the richest men on the planet.
We're going to watch them fall over. That's the headline. Here it is down here.
Be able to share this experience with you, and thank you for sharing how you feel out here with our audience. So it's been really, really incredible. So yeah,
slow mo. Thank you.
But they even had to beat it up as he ran. That says as he ran towards the capsule. Jeff Bezos falls over as he runs towards space capsule. No. He was casually walking around the outside of it.
This experience with you, and thank you for sharing how you feel out here with our audience. So it's been really, really incredible. So
a man.
Did you just say so good? Did you just say so good?
It's so good. She fell in a hole. That's like, even if it was a normal person, if I was casually watching and they fell in a hole, I would laugh at that. One of the world's richest men falling in a hole after launching his dick-shaped rocket to the edge of space for 11 minutes with Katy Perry in it. I couldn't write this. So someone put this in a sitcom and we go, it's not believable. It'll never happen. This is real life. What the fuck? There is a script writer somewhere going, oh, for fuck's sake, what is even my job anymore? What the fuck?
Okay.
This is one of the world's richest men. Someone who has the power, if he chose to do enormous good. Or even if he chose to. I know. Look, if you wanted an example, see what his ex-wife is up to with half of his fortune.
Yep.
Fucking giving it away to charitable things around the planet. Like, she's just offloading his money like it's her job. It's amazing. And yet he's hoarding it, making sure he can't pay taxes, all of these sort of things. He could choose to do something. He loaded some chicks in a rocket, sent them up to space, an enormous amount of money. No net benefit for humanity anywhere in there. Billionaires shouldn't exist. Look at your watch. Are you looking at your Apple Watch, Pat?
Yeah.
While we talk about billionaires?
Yep.
I don't have a watch.
Tim Apple. Citizen Gold says it's not a dick-shaped rocket. It's a personal massager-shaped rocket. Just get that right.
Normally, the woman goes on the outside of the... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm so glad I wasn't the only one that thought that, says the Danger of Mouse. Chris says Bezos needs to work harder to keep his rocket up. They write themselves. How can a rocket go brrr if wealth tax? Just wanted Pat and Chewie's opinion. I was talking with, I'm not going to dismiss that, but let's just get to the end of the dick jokes before we go into a kind of conversation around things.
You don't want a serious question right in the middle of that.
This is Gilded Age stuff. Where is my bread? Because this is a friggin' circus, right? Let me say this before I put this up there. I haven't pre-read this. If you want to have an honest opinion from us, asking in a super chat for an honest opinion doesn't mean you're going to get it. This is not like bark, please seal, bark, please seal. We'll use your super chats, but I don't even know what this is going to ask us, but it doesn't, just because you do it in a super chat doesn't mean you're going to get like, okay, let's have a 9-minute conversation about this. Okay, I was talking with autistic people who use cannabis for management of gastrointestinal issues or reflux, that probably is. This shows New Zealand drug policy needs to change. Okay, you ready to? My big long conversation, my honest opinion? I agree. Right, I'm done. Your thoughts?
So, I think we've been pretty clear on the show that just our drug laws are not fit for purpose, and especially around cannabis, we are missing a trick. We're missing the tax dollars. We're missing the business opportunities of legalizing cannabis. We're missing the medical benefits of legalizing cannabis. While it's illegal, it's hard to study this sort of thing. I don't know specifically for the thing that you're talking about gastro and reflux and all of that sort of thing. I just know that there are clear benefits to the... Oh, fuck up, Pat. Look, I'm just saying, when I get my guillotine, I've got to test it out on someone. Yeah. So that's my honest opinion. Yes, it's dumb. Our attitudes around cannabis are outdated.
Okay. Well, the detective wants to know why I don't want to talk more about weed, and it's because I'm just stoned off my tree right now. That's why we wanted to put that penis thing up there. Okay, moving on. Because this last story has a little bit of gravitas to it. We should give it the credit it deserves. This is about senior doctors in New Zealand striking for 24 hours, which is almost unheard of. Let's get to the Silver Fox.
Hospital procedures are set to be cancelled if senior doctors strike on May the 1st. The union for around 6,000 senior doctors is the vote for a 24-hour
May Day.
walkout is unprecedented, but reflects the strength of feeling over the pay offer. The health minister calling it a decision that will hurt patients. Abby Wakefield reports.
Senior medical officer.
I've got so much to say about what we Simians got to say, but I'll try my best to leave it till the end because I've cut some extra video for it.
These are the specialist doctors and dentists you see when you've got a hospital appointment.
Anaesthetists, surgeons, physicians, paediatricians, radiologists.
But around 5,500 members of the Association of Salaried Medical Specialists will walk off the job on the 1st of May.
A 24-hour strike is unprecedented, but we're really stuck.
Earlier strikes had them striking for just 2 to 4 hours. They're fighting for better pay, asking Health New Zealand for a 12% increase and more time for professional training.
All Te Whatu Ora have offered back is you can have whatever you like as long as it doesn't cost us more than about 1 to 1.5% of total salary costs. So effectively what they're offering is a real terms pay cut.
So basically, if inflation is more than that they get given a pay cut, then it's technically a step backwards on their spending power. So if inflation's at 2.5%, which is about right, I think, and they get offered 1%, then it's the equivalent of a 1.5% tax cut. Yeah, if they strike, we should all be striking in support. Rochelle, that's an interesting perspective, but I also think that I wonder if this government has got it wrong. I wonder if they're trying to sell. Well, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so they've got it wrong. They're trying to sell the idea that they shouldn't be doing this. And I actually think for most of New Zealand, we will be 24 hours of inconvenience is okay by us. You know what I mean? I guess you can't speak for everyone because you don't want emergencies to cause any issues. But if everyone gets waylaid by 24 hours, and these guys do this, guys and girls do this, I think, yeah, more power to them. Get into it. I'll get down there on the picket line with you. I don't care what you're earning. You're not getting paid enough. And the evidence of not getting paid enough is all the people shipping off to Australia right now for better pay and conditions. Anything, Chewie, or shall I hit play?
I love that it's May Day.
Okay.
I love that it's May Day.
And also, that's like May Day, May Day. Everything's in trouble as well. So there's lots of plays on words.
The health minister isn't hiding his disappointment.
They're well remunerated. They earn on average $343,000 as part of their total.
This is him trying to shame them. This is him trying to get the public on his side going, well, shit, that's enough. 300 grand, that's enough. So that's what he's disappointed, that's what he's doing right here.
A package. They have 6 weeks annual leave per year. They get 3 months paid sabbatical every 6 years. Ultimately, we need to make sure we're putting patients first.
Strike action could see over 4,000 planned care procedures cancelled and up to another 4,300 radiology procedures, including MRI, CT and ultrasound appointments, postponed. The minister's urging the union to return to the negotiating table.
Patients should never be used as a bargaining chip in negotiations with unions. This is a union putting their what they want ahead of patients.
In a statement to One News, Health New Zealand says they're very concerned about the impact this will have on patient care, and they remain focused on reaching a settlement, but they believe the proposals to date have been fair given the current economic situation.
Senior doctors take the notion of strike action really, really seriously, and in fact most of our members spend a lot of their time doing unpaid work to help hold systems together.
They should get back around the negotiating table to sort these issues out, rather than delaying the care for thousands of Kiwis who have already been waiting too long.
And they'll be waiting longer if senior doctors and Health New Zealand can't find a way through in negotiations in the coming days. Abby Wakefield, One News.
Right. There's one thing I want to pull out of here, Chewie. Okay, I'm going to replay some audio. This is Simeon Brown making it very clear that within negotiations, patients should come first. Amongst the negotiations between doctors and the Crown, patients should come first. Let me play it for you.
Ultimately, we need to make sure we're putting patients first. Patients should never be used as a bargaining chip in negotiations with unions. This is a union putting their what they want ahead of patients.
So patients should never be used as a bargaining chip. Remember that. Patients, in other words, the unions should never use the patients to guilt the government into pay rises. You shouldn't use it as a bargaining chip. I guess you think you know where I'm going. As Simeon then uses the patients as a bargaining chip.
They should get back around the negotiating table to sort these issues out rather than delaying the care for thousands of Kiwis who have already been waiting too long.
Why have they been waiting too long, Simeon?
Don't use them as bargaining chips. Don't get the patient's name out your fucking mouth, doctors. Don't use the patients as a way to increase your money. Don't guilt us with the patients. That's our job. We'll guilt you guys with the patients. That's our gig. Don't steal our gig. That's what we do. Just ludicrous. Just ludicrous, Chewie.
This just underlines everything. I think nothing Simeon says there is going to convince doctors to not strike, because they are being told by someone in his early 30s who has no experience in health.
Bank teller.
There's no experience in the industry. And he's lecturing them about how well remunerated they are when he earns close to the same amount. The fact that this little twerp...
Just so we can think about this, what kind of... How did... So he's, let's say he's earning, you know, because he did say on average they're earning $340. So there'll be lots of doctors who are earning what he's earning. What kind of, you know, university and study and residency and kind of work did he have to do to get that salary? Like, what's his qualifications for getting the same salary as a 7-year medical degree? I think it's 5 years being a resident, correct me if I'm wrong, but a good 12 years of education. That's what doctors get to start being doctors, let alone to go up the scale to get that 300K plus. That's what they do. Can you just remind me, Chewie, I can't remember, what did he have to do to become a politician and earn the same money?
That's he was he was part of, maybe he was even the head of an anti-abortion group at university.
And was there something to do with cupping the balls of someone? Was that a part of it, or am I wrong in that?
Oh, you've got to both cut the balls and work the shaft of, I assume, somebody in the National Party. I think that's what Luxon was referring to as the vetting process. Anyway, there's another great question.
Oh, we're going to get in trouble one day,
and I lost it.
One day we're going to get in trouble.
What's
we're going to get a lawyer's letter
one
day. We're going to get in trouble.
Is he going to cut our pay? He has to come on the show to deliver it. There was a great question in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't save it. That Simeon's haircut is ridiculous. It's because he squirms a lot when his mum puts the bowl on his head. Can't get the line straight. Look, the pure offense of this little twerp telling people that are 10 times more educated than him, that are responsible for literal life and death in our crumbling health system, that has just had the screws tightened to it because this lot want to sell it off piecemeal to the highest bidder when they eventually get to the point where it's on its fucking knees and they say, it's just impossible to do public health care. That is the aim. They fucked off our nurses. They won't pay them. They won't give them time off. They know that they can just import nurses if they need to, but they still won't even do that. They fuck around our nursing graduates. They screw over the GPs. They screw over the junior doctors. They're screwing over the senior doctors. They're chopping all the support systems for these guys, and they're wondering why the doctors are going on strike. Is he stupid or is it malicious? There's no other answer.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually a combination of the two. He's stupidly malicious or maliciously stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if it's also that idea that, and this is a horrible way to say it about anybody, but just bear with me. You know, people who then like get a position or a role that's above their station. It's a horrible, judgy way to say it, but like they don't have the ability, the skills, the qualifications, the experience, the maturity to get a position that they then have. And so what often happens there is it comes out as an authoritarian dictator, so to speak, not literal, but you know what I mean? It's like, well, this is my position, I've been put here, even though done nothing to earn it. And basically you somewhat fake it till you make it. So he might be, you know, big boys and girls doing big jobs, like Mr. Luxon said, big people with big jobs. He might try to be acting like the big person, being all hard and stuff, but he doesn't know what he's doing and he doesn't know how it's going to impact the country as a whole. Or the complete opposite. He does, and it's nefarious for some other reason.
All I'm going to say is, look, somebody said we should all strike. It's an interesting thing because general strikes, haven't happened since I think it's 1979, and legally, I don't think it can happen because they're changing laws around strikes. But it is May Day, and I know the unions are planning action right around the country. You can check out the Council of Trade Unions website that they have activities planned for May Day. Look, I think if you're in the position where you can support the doctors, I think you should do it.
Yeah.
I think if the nurses decide to strike next, then we should do the same and support the nurses, because God knows they need the support. If the junior doctors decide to go on strike, then we should support that. If the GPs go on strike, like if this is the start of rolling strike action, then we need to support it. And if the choice is looking at Simeon and going, get off your little box and stop puffing out your chest and fucking do something, because we know that the funding crisis in health is exactly that, a funding crisis. They chose this. We can find $12 billion for the defense forces at the drop of a fucking hat, because if the money is needed, the money will be found.
14 billion for tax cuts, 3 billion for landlords. Don't forget that. 200 million for tobacco products. Find all that pretty easily.
Media, we know you're listening. This is the question. Judith Collins, a senior minister in this government, said on Q&A, if the money is required, the money will be found. So every time that a minister brings up cuts to the health system, then maybe that's something that should be thrown in their fucking face. I'll be out on May Day, 100%.
There we go. The money will be found because the money has to be found. Quote, end quote. All right, team, let's get some of these super tips before we head off for the night. Hickenbees says, I feel like we aren't mean billionaires enough, mean to billionaires enough. We can and should do better. Arvid says, oh, it will hurt patients, will it, Pee-wee? You can do something about that, numpty. And someone asking the question that you've just answered, what's his pay rate? James Black, since when does Simeon care about patients? Yep. As a disabled person, I'm pretty sure the public doesn't want to see the government treat people poorly. I don't want to see the government treat people poorly. I'm happy being a bargaining chip. Pins, preach Chewie, the health system needs to be on its knees just for Simeon to be able to get in the face. And Ryzen says, covering part of Captain Jack's Harris Twitter bet since he doesn't seem to be paying up. Oh, thank you, Ryzen. No, he's going off on Twitter at the moment. It's okay. I've muted him again. I've had him muted for a long time, and he popped up in my feed and I read it and he's muted again. So whatever. We'll see. He knew how if he wanted to pay the bet, he knew how he could have done it. He's chosen not to. That's all right. No one, let's be honest, none of us were expecting it. None of us were expecting it. All right, my team. What day is it? Tuesday. Chewie, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. We didn't even say it. It's Chewie Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. Wednesday night, tomorrow night, we'll be back, I guess. I haven't talked to the youngsters about Friday night yet. I should send that email off to see what they're going to do, because, of course, Friday is a pubic holiday, as is Monday. We'll take Monday off, and I'll do a best of. We'll put it up there as well. And remember, this Thursday, you can, if you want, go and subscribe. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you will get it. If you go to the Spotify, you can right now, look at my Spotify pop up on my it'll show you what my terrible taste in music is. Actually, not just me, it's me and my kids as well.
It's Nickelback.
It's Teddy Swims is what I'm going through a lot at the moment. Podcasts. Oh, there it is right there. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I can actually do it. There you go. Craig Rennie, locked out with Craig Rennie. It is on Spotify, ready to go. This is just a 60-second introduction. We do that first to hook up all the back commands for Spotify and for Apple Podcasts and stuff. And Thursday morning, middle of the night, basically, Chewie, so it's out in time for the breakfast radios to pick up. I've got to tell you, I heard the podcast today, like the interview, and we are talking about electricity prices, and it is unfathomable what this government is not currently doing about electricity prices. It's Craig and a colleague of his sort of breaking a news story that they've got. So you'll be able to see it on YouTube. You'll be able to, we don't have a Facebook page or anything for his podcast yet. So YouTube is going to be the main place for the video. Also Apple Podcasts, Spotify as well, if you want to check it out. It's going to be cool. Me and Craig are going to finish it off tomorrow, and then we'll get it all uploaded and ready to go. Thursday morning for Locked Out with Craig Rennie. Cool. Anything else, Chewie? Did you just pull something up?
Yep, I did. Just before I go, here we go. Trade unions fighting back together. May Day, time to commemorate both the struggles and gains made by workers in the labour movement right around the country. Basically 12:30 across the country, wherever you are, there is probably something happening there. I said Dunedin on the Museum Reserve, 12:30 to 1:30, Invercargill, Christchurch, all of the other ones further north that no one cares about. That is all happening. So if you're able to go to any of those events and show a little bit of people power, I would encourage you. I'd say it's more vital now than it has been for a long, long time. You should do it.
Very cool. All right, team. I guess we're going to catch you tomorrow, aren't we? I guess so.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin.
You always do it so quiet, Pat. That's quieter. You always do the music so quiet these days.
I don't know what's going on. I've just turned it down because you were talking. What are you talking about? I just turned it down. I'll turn it back up now.
The media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting bees from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a warpath to run, linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come
quiet again.
All heavily, neither this way or that, and will be analyzed by what Chewie and Pat. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's big hairy news.
All right, that's us. I'm done and dusted. I don't know what you're all talking about with the sound going down, because I've got it up high, and I don't know what's going on. There must be a disconnect somewhere in StreamYard. I haven't got my A into G to contact them to figure out what it is, but I'm just playing music like I play everything. Same place that we play video from and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for me. We will catch you tomorrow night from 9 p.m. for another edition of Big Hero News. Hooroo from me, Chewie.
And Wu-Tang is for the children from me. Cheers, fam.